Uh, well, missed you. You must have got robbed or something.
No, I was just out and about. It was lovely.
Well,
Did you have a good session?
well, I'm assuming. I hope you guys talked.
We did.
So, what did Brian tell you, and then we can kind
Sure.
of go from there.
Okay. Brian said that it sounds like the parole board needs the sex therapy treatment to be done in order for them in order for them to approve reunification. And so an option would be to basically say that the sex therapy treatment is done and that we will continue to meet as a couple to work on issues of, in our marriage. And that may be a way to deal with kind of the semantics.
Right.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I think that whatever we can do, because at this point it just feels foolish to be haggling over verbiage. I don't really see.
And for some reason, as a cultural comment, their people aren't. Of course, they're concerned about children,
Right.
but I would say that's 20%, and 80% has to do with reputation.
Yes.
And
Right.
being in the papers because after all the hours and after all prison and after all treatment and being on parole and doing all this stuff, a sex offense still occurred. And one of these days, it would be great if I was interviewed by some of the sharks out there, and I'd say, yeah, that kind of happens. Well, you seem kind of cavalier about this, Mr. Key. Well, it's one of those things that if there's about a 3% recidivism rate of another, or 5 of another sex offense, that's pretty good. In fact, that's fantastic. So yeah, I'm gonna sleep fine tonight. And so I'm not. Of course, I'm concerned about my reputation, but I look at things differently. The people that the Isingers or the Brooks or the so and so, and their top tier people, top level people. The one thing I give them is this: they're not in the trenches. They don't talk and feel and experience you guys. They, as a result, they have to go by other things, like their own fears and worries, the horror stories over the last 20 years of, well, did you hear about the guy in Medina or Youngstown? That, well, of course, there's always going to be those bullcrap examples. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Kind of
the ones that make the headlines again. The guy who gets out and then
correct
takes somebody off the street.
That's going to happen. Just like, not to get on in any political way, but about how many women actually, when they're raped, get pregnant. What's the percentage? I'm being sarcastic. 80? I don't think so. 40? No, I don't think so either. And, a lot of people put that label on, well, that's why they should get abortion. Well, okay. because they're raped and they don't want to carry the child. Okay, well, give me the percentages. Millions and millions? I don't think so, not at all. So it's kind of like, yeah, does it happen? Absolutely. But it's like that, like those type of cases. And I'm just thinking, and I don't know what it was when it was like an hour or so before I saw Brian last week. It dawned on me, I'm wondering if we can kind of do an end round and say that because Jennifer is still upset at her husband, or that there's still tension in the marriage because of what he did, and there's just tension. Well, since Gary does marriage counseling as well, he feels that there needs to be work on the marriage because of that. That's not healthy. And I'm looking at that in a generic way, not as a sex offender way. Sex offender specific treatment is over there. The marriage counseling is totally divorced, totally separate. There's a lot of undercurrents of friction and trust issues and tension at times still in this marriage. And they need to continue in couple counseling for that reason. So what do you think? And obviously, if they take the bait, I would, you're still on parole, and I would be saying a condition would be marriage counseling, couple therapy, or I can throw that out. I don't know if they've ever heard that. I can throw that out. And then, obviously, 95% of the time that I'm seeing you guys has to do with how are things going at home, work if needs to happen a little bit here. I don't know. I'm all ears. What do you guys think?
I mean, the end game here is reunification.
Yes.
It makes me uncomfortable to think about saying that there's, a lot of tension in the marriage when I don't necessarily feel that there is, but I see why you're saying that could be a necessary way to get them on board with doing what we want to do.
Well, I'm not right.
I mean,
we got to come up with something
right
concerning this.
Yes.
You see, because I want this to look like a totally different, separate,
issue.
Emancipated issue.
Right.
And so I'm trying to build a type of O.J. Simpson glove case. Are you guys following me? Totally.
Yeah.
There you go. If we can't, then we can't.
Okay.
Okay. If we can't, we can't. And then I guess you're not coming home. I cannot think
of... trying to figure out, because I've been looking at advocacy groups.
An attorney, Go ahead.
And what I haven't been able to pinpoint yet, and maybe you can help me sharpen my search better, but when I kind of search for like reunification or someone who deals with reunification, they're all talking about youthful offenders returning home to their parents. I've not seen adult offenders returning home to wife and children.
So what specifically, who specifically are you
or
looking
is there a
for?
search term, or is there somebody or something that I should be looking for that maybe I'm just not plugging in right? Because I've looked at several advocacy groups, and the advocacy groups.
Well, when you say advocacy groups,
sex offender?
are you right?
Okay.
Are you talking about the one word that you're not using? Is advocacy groups for legalistic lawyer category. I'm just hearing you say, Brian,
Okay.
advocacy groups, and looking for someone or something, entity doing work with adult reunification. That's me. That's who they send people to.
Okay.
That's the word that's missing. Lawyer.
Okay. Well, I'm not even really seeing that, but I'll try
Like
plugging that
something
in
to
the next
do
search.
lawyer advocacy.
Okay.
Lawyers advocating, lawyer something
Okay.
with the legal system. Legal system. See, because what if you do it the other way? The best is that you're just going to get like possibly somebody like me that the adult parole authority or probation adult probation refers to for the reunification work.
Alright. I'll change when I go back and.
Well, why don't how come you didn't think of, what, this is crazy. We're seeing Gary in a couple of days. I'm just going to call some attorneys. I'm just going to close my eyes and go down the phone directory or something. And then everything in life is such a stepping stone anyway. So you call this attorney, no, we don't do that. Okay. You call this attorney, no. Well, do you know somebody who does? Or you simply call the board. I forgot the name of it, some board for attorneys.
Okay.
What's it called? The legal board of attorney or something? The board. They're
Okay.
I would just talk, scroll down. Do you know what I'm referring to? Like, for attorneys, what's it called? Something board.
Is it a board or an association?
Just
Bar. Alright. Yeah, bar association.
yeah, the bar association.
Okay.
That's it. I would say that whole conversation should take less than 20 minutes.
Okay.
What stops you from doing that?
Oh.
Great question. See, you came up with the name, bar. You're right. How come?
I was hoping that with the letter and that we wouldn't. For me, the attorney bit goes back in kind of the last ditch effort. I'm still worried about pushback from the APA. I mean, they have me scared over their comments. If Mr. Jansen doesn't like his situation, he can go back to Florida. And I think I've tried very hard.
And the pushback would be motivated by what? What's motivating a potential pushback? Or can I just use vengeful, vindictive pushback. Okay,
It
that's
just
where's
seems,
that coming from?
it seems like power. I don't know, or the fact that, trying to stand up and say no, that this isn't right, because I am still under probation. That, if I create too much trouble, create too many waves with them, they'll send me back to Florida. And I have no desire to live underneath a bridge,
and they'll extradite you to Florida because
they'll find something, they'll make something up.
But see, at that
again,
but see, at that point, you would have an attorney. If you're fearful of majorly shaking that tree, it's not shaking the tree, obviously, unless you just have a paranoid personality disorder. It's not shaking the tree by me putting together another ladder. Simply because, duh, how did I get involved?
Right.
Duh, they referred you to me. They.
Okay.
So I'm just putting this stuff out. These are my suggestions and recommendations.
Okay.
And then that's not shaking a tree, like I said, unless you have a personality disorder, a paranoid one.
I don't think so.
It could be seen by certain people there that, oh, this guy's trying to muscle us by, having an attorney. And let's just say the nightmare of all nightmares is that even though without offending anyone, violating parole guidelines or treatment guidelines, without any of those, they send you back. And your attorney wouldn't fight that? Because you have one already. If you would go that route.
Okay.
I don't know. Did you know Brian's that fearful? I mean, he's ready to cry.
Well, I think that this ties in with a much bigger issue, which is that I think that this has been, in some ways, the crux of a lot of issues going way back, which is why it was so difficult for you to stand up for yourself at Cookman.
Mm-hmm.
And perhaps before that, I don't know, I only knew you from Cookman on.
Right.
And that there's always a reason why you put up with people treating you like shit. And you don't stand up for yourself because of the fear of the consequences. So it's a pattern that repeats itself over and over.
And you're right, 100%. And your husband is sitting there, and as usual, heaven forbid if he says you're wrong, shaking his head, and just kind of. And I'm not putting that on you. But people have allowed him just to be like that. I know I haven't. But a conversation we had, Jen, last time Brian was here, had to do with basically who holds you accountable in terms of a lack of assertiveness, who holds you accountable in terms of what you're thinking, what you're doing with those thoughts, all sorts of things. The lack of assertiveness, whatever. At this place he regularly goes to, not as often as he does his job, but this SAA or SLAA or whatever it is, and no one does. He might speak up about things, but because there's sometimes like really 25 people in the room for an hour or an hour and a half, it's set up, unfortunately, where they're good people, I feel, that originally had some wonderful ideas that set this up. Absolutely. How it's set up now is I can't see anyone coming out of there feeling that, wow, whew, I got kind of challenged today.
It depends on the group, because that happened down in Florida. Unfortunately, I think he's got a group here that isn't as healthy as that group down there. Now, what I've advocated for is him trying, because there are multiple SA groups here in the Cincinnati area and in Dayton. And so what I've advocated for is him trying a couple of the other groups, because I've heard that a couple of the other groups are healthier. The one he's at, we've talked about it, the fact that it's not a healthy group. He's the only one raising his damn hand to be a sponsor. And that's because nobody else in there is particularly progressed in their sobriety. They're not working the steps. They don't have sponsors. They're not actually working the program. Now, I think that if you work the program, I watched it happen in Florida. It was really effective. It's not supposed to be, it's sort of like, it's like an AA meeting, you don't necessarily have somebody, there is no crosstalk. You can't counter and say to somebody, look, what you said was foolish, or what you said makes no sense. What you have, though, is a sponsor. And unfortunately, at this meeting, there isn't anybody available to do that.
Right.
Which is why I think it's important that you try another
so
meeting.
What do you have to say? What do you have to say to what Jen said?
We have talked about it, but yeah, this group is weak. And so yeah, maybe it is. The other two groups that I know of probably need. The Monday group seems like the most viable one to go to.
But why don't you push for that for yourself? Why does it take me and Gary ganging up on you? We've talked about it. How many conversations have we had about the Saturday group?
Every Saturday.
At what point do you say, or at what point do you, how many conversations have you and I had about the lawyer?
A few.
Yeah. And who instigates those, who starts those conversations? Right.
Which you probably can't think this way, and I don't know why. But when you don't make these moves to better yourself in the situation, you are dismissing your wife, and you are dismissing your family, and you by not doing anything. You're dismissing them. And I know I'm the smartest person you've ever met in your life. And when I say these things, it's like, wow, Gary is so brilliant. I've never thought of that. And that's what and that's what irritates me and confounds me about you. It's not like you're mentally challenged, Brian. I bring up these ideas, and it's like this dim light bulb goes on. I don't get it. I really, really don't understand. I really don't. Your wife has known, and I've known in much less time, about how practically nothing gets you moving out of your comfort zone. And your comfort zone is having people do things for you or bring up ideas every Saturday. It doesn't take even that much of a healthy person to raise their hand up saying, how come we don't challenge one another here? You don't have to be super healthy to do that. You don't do anything for yourself, buddy. um, you don't stand up for yourself. And I think you do have a personality disorder about that. I really do, Brian. You just don't. I would feel sorry for you if you were to be homeless. I could just see you sitting there, just right there, for days, not moving, under the bridge, just looking down at your feet. That's how I see you as a man. Sorry. That's how I see it.
How does the shame? Because what it feels like you're doing is shaming. So how does the shaming work to motivate? Does it motivate you?
No.
So if the shaming, and because I feel like, Gary, that's been kind of an intervention that you've used every time I've seen you with Brian is kind of this shaming that you don't, that Brian's pretty much a sad sack, a sad lump of useless humanity, and that he needs to man up. But I don't really see that helping at all.
No, it doesn't.
So is it perhaps maybe time to change the tactic? Because
Well, we could have the same tactic as your group has. You know, that there's no challenge. That's maybe the other way. That's unhealthy. But the main question that your wife brings up is just a very good one. As an adult, okay. So what is the tactic to take?
yeah. What
I'm
you know,
putting
what-
it on you.
yeah.
So what? Okay, these are things maybe Gary shouldn't be doing. Okay, so what do you need? What is the tactic or strategy, Brian?
I don't know.
Then I can't help you.
I don't know why I am unwilling to leave that comfort zone. I don't know. I mean, I felt like I used to stand up for myself all the time, and doing that usually ended up being, maybe I need to be better in the ways that I thought I was actually standing up for myself, because oftentimes standing up for myself, pushback or blowback or whatever you want to call it, especially work, got to a point where every time I did something, it was reviled.
But there's a difference between standing up for yourself and continuing to talk to crazy. Okay, like for example, okay, you're one man in prison, right? You're
Right.
one man in the shithole. You standing up for yourself in that moment, in that dorm, is probably going to get you sent to solitary,
Yeah.
right? Okay, so I'm not saying that was what was needed. What I'm saying is that at what point do you advocate for you and say, you know what, you need to treat me this way, or I'm out of here.
I don't.
So help me understand this.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing I'll say that, and then it'll probably two things. It'll probably come out like, well, in my defense, I don't want it to sound like that, but I know in my heart that the first 10, whatever, 12, 14 long sessions, you know, as you put it, Jen, I can come across in a shaming way. I definitely was not like that with this man. There's no way. That didn't take hold. Okay. The regular, just direct work, all sorts of stuff. So we try another tact. And that doesn't either. But I'm a type of person that I've been doing this long enough. No one here can convince me that, and I'm not doing one of these things, okay, that a period of less than 18 months at this college of hell, of less than 18 months, not for 10 straight years, of just, you know, horrible backstabbing, that has developed such a PTSD
You're
in
talking
this
about prison
man.
or college?
No,
College.
this college thing.
The 18 years at the college?
Nobody can convince me that the hell Brian experienced at college
Right.
was going on for years and years and years and years. That doesn't make sense, because if it was, if you guys say, oh no, Gary, it went on for about 7 or 8 years, that to that degree, well, that certainly is diagnostic, isn't it? Who puts up with that for 7 or 8 years? And I buy, but I don't buy. I buy it, but I don't buy it. Well, you know, I had to work there for the kids or something. All right. Come on. That's diagnostic. But let's say and I can look at my records, I don't remember it being it being more than a year and a half of shit hitting the fan every single hour of every single day of every week at the college. Okay? Yes, no?
It was a little bit longer, but not.
2 years.
Alright.
2 years in a hellhole.